The Realm. Do you know what the Realm is? It's the 1,000 blades of Aegon's enemies. A story we agree to tell each other over and over till we forget that it's a lie.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back for another House of the Dragon video. In this video, I want to go over some of the main characters who will be featured in this show. As you all know, HBO has already hired several actors for their upcoming series, House of the Dragon. They still need to hire a lot more actors for the show, but as of right now, they have found most of their key characters. I have showed you who they are in some of my other update videos, but now I want to go into a little more detail about each one. One of you left me a comment on one of my recent videos asking me if I would do this because they weren't exactly sure who some of these actors would be in the show. So that's what I want to do in this video. I will explain what each of these actors will do in the show based on what we know so far. Now, as I have said before, I have already made a video where I go over all of the major events that I think we will see in House of the Dragon. This series will be based on the Targaryen Civil War after all, therefore we will see a lot of Targaryens fighting other Targaryens, and a lot of dragons fighting other dragons. It should be epic in every sense of the word. Since none of us know exactly how much of George's writing they will be adapting, I will try to keep this as simple as I can, so it's very easy for everyone to understand. The very first actor HBO hired was Paddy Considine, and he will be King Viserys Targaryen. For those of you who don't know, King Viserys Targaryen was a dragon rider. Not only was he a dragon rider, but he rode arguably the most fearsome dragon in all of A Song of Ice and Fire. That dragon is, of course, Balerion the Black Dread. Unfortunately, I doubt we will see this dragon in the show, because Balerion dies before the events they want to focus on, but don't worry, there will be over a dozen of other dragons we will see. Now, although he will be the king at the start of the series, he won't necessarily be the main character, because the story's not really about him. House of the Dragon will mostly be about what happens after he dies when his wife and children are fighting over who gets the Iron Throne. It will be kinda similar to what happened in Game of Thrones. When King Viserys Targaryen dies, his wife, Alicent Hightower, makes sure their son Aegon, the second of his name, gets the Iron Throne. The only issue is, Viserys did not name his son as his heir. Before Viserys died, he named his daughter Rhaenyra as his heir, and this is where all of the fighting begins. This is when all of the characters will have to choose sides. Do they want King Viserys' firstborn son to sit on the Iron Throne, or do they want his firstborn daughter Rhaenyra, who he did name as his successor? This is when things get very interesting. But now I'm getting ahead of myself. So as I was saying, Paddy Considine will be King Viserys Targaryen. Now, his first wife was Aemma Arryn. HBO hasn't hired anyone for this role yet, so I'm not even sure if we will see this character in the show, but I have to mention her for this to make sense. Viserys and Aemma were married for over a decade, and they tried their best to have a son, so Viserys could have an heir, but it never happened. One day, Aemma does give birth to a baby boy, but not only does the baby die, so does she. Now Viserys doesn't have a son, nor does he have a wife. What Viserys does have is a brother and a daughter. Viserys' brother is named Daemon Targaryen, who I believe will be one of the most interesting characters in this show. In case you don't know already, actor Matt Smith landed the role as Daemon. This character will easily be the most experienced warrior in the series. He also just so happens to carry his own Valyrian steel sword known as Dark Sister. But this isn't all he has. Daemon Targaryen also has his own dragon named Caraxes. Now you would think this would make Daemon a great candidate for the Iron Throne. He's a skilled warrior, he has a Valyrian steel sword, he has a dragon, and most notably, he is the king's brother. After all, Viserys doesn't have a son, and he no longer has a wife to try to make any more sons with. Well, you see, Viserys doesn't really want Daemon to be his successor. In fact, he's actually not very happy with Daemon at the moment because he made some, let's just say, insensitive jokes when his wife and newborn son died. But I'm sure you all know how that goes. You get a little drunk, your brother's wife and kid dies, so you crack a few jokes. We've all been there before. So, if Viserys doesn't want Daemon as the heir, then who does that leave? What other options would he have right now? Well, he has his daughter Rhaenyra Targaryen. In case you don't already know, HBO hired actress Emma D'Arcy, and hopefully I said that right. She will be our Rhaenyra, daughter of King Viserys Targaryen. Now, Rhaenyra is also a dragon rider. She has a dragon named Syrax. Rhaenyra also has several sons, some of whom also have dragons of their own, but I won't get into all of their names in this video, because HBO hasn't cast any of them yet either. Like I said, she has her own dragon, some of her sons have their own dragons, but she also has several more dragons just sitting around on Dragonstone waiting for riders. Now, Rhaenyra's sons were allegedly fathered by a character named Laenor Valeron. However, some say they were actually fathered by Rhaenyra's lover. Since HBO hasn't cast Laenor Valeron, I'm not sure if we're going to see him, but Rhaenyra's not with him during the Dance of Dragons anyway, because he's already dead by then. Rhaenyra's actually in a relationship with Daemon Targaryen. That's right, her father's very own brother. So, although Daemon might not get the Iron Throne for himself, he figures he can help out Rhaenyra get the Iron Throne, which I guess is the next best thing. What you should know is, Rhaenyra's not Daemon's only lover. Daemon likes to sleep around a little bit, but I will get into that later. So, where were we? King Viserys needs an heir. He doesn't have a son, and he doesn't want his brother, so that leaves his daughter Rhaenyra as a good option. Now, before Viserys actually lost his wife and newborn son, there was a character who was already suggesting Viserys should name his daughter Rhaenyra as the heir. Sir Otto Hightower, who is the hand of the king to Viserys, said he should just name his daughter the heir. Now, in case you don't know, HBO has found an actor for this role. Hopefully I don't butcher his name as bad as I did last time, but HBO has hired actor Rhys Ifans, and he will be our Sir Otto Hightower, Hand of the King. Now, like I said, before Viserys lost his wife and newborn son, Sir Otto suggested that Viserys should name his daughter as the heir. Viserys wasn't really a fan of this idea though, because he was still convinced that his wife would give him a son, but that didn't end up happening. The reason Sir Otto was suggesting this so soon was because he was worried something would happen to Viserys. He did not want the king's brother Daemon getting the Iron Throne. You see, Sir Otto and Daemon did not like each other. Sir Otto saw Daemon as a threat. I realize I did say some of this out of order, but I don't want to be introducing a new character in every single sentence I say, otherwise it would get very confusing if you're not familiar with any of them. Anyways, as soon as Daemon made those jokes about his brother's dead wife and son, Viserys did name Rhaenyra as his heir. This shut Daemon out. Viserys started showing his daughter how to run the kingdoms. Rhaenyra was right by her father's side, learning from the king himself. But this is A Song of Ice and Fire. We know this doesn't have any happy endings. You see, King Viserys was still a very young man. He wasn't even 30 years old yet. So what happens next? Viserys ends up getting married again, but this time, he marries a very young and fertile Alicent Hightower. She is the daughter of Sir Otto Hightower, Hand of the King. For those of you who don't know, HBO hired actress Olivia Cooke, who will be our Queen Alicent. At first, Rhaenyra got along very well with her new stepmother Alicent. In fact, during the wedding feast, Alicent even kissed her and named her daughter. When Daemon found out his brother married again, he beat the brakes off the messenger. He beat him so bad he nearly killed him. And the sweet, loving relationship between King Viserys' new wife Alicent and his daughter Rhaenyra did not last for very long. Both of them wanted to be First Lady of the Realm, but there was room for only one. Everything really went downhill once Alicent started giving Viserys sons. He still wanted his daughter Rhaenyra to remain as his heir, so that's what happened. Well, that is until Viserys died. So, King Viserys and Queen Alicent ended up having 3 kids together. As of right now, HBO has not found actors for them yet, but I'm sure they will very soon. Almost immediately after Viserys dies in his sleep, his son Aegon is crowned as the king, instead of his daughter Rhaenyra, which is who he wanted. Aegon Targaryen, the second of his name, was crowned by Sir Criston Cole, the Lord Commander of the Kingsguard, as well as his mother, Queen Alicent Hightower. Now Rhaenyra is left to fight for the Iron Throne her father had left her. Rhaenyra would now have to fight her own stepmother, Alicent, as well as her little brother Aegon, who was now the new king. Since Alicent wore a green gown, and Rhaenyra wore the Targaryen colors of black and red, it became the custom to refer to the greens and the blacks, or the greens versus the blacks, when talking to the two respective sides. This ultimately leads to the Targaryen Civil War, also known as the Dance of Dragons. This fight over the Iron Throne would not only lead to the deaths of almost every Targaryen in the known world, but almost all of their dragons as well. So let me show you which sides these actors and their characters will be fighting for, now that I've laid out the basic setup for the story. The actor Paddy Considine is our King Viserys Targaryen, who is obviously at the head of this mess. But on the side of the Greens, we have his wife, Queen Alicent Hightower, who will be portrayed by actress Olivia Cooke. And we have her father, the Hand of the King, Sir Otto Hightower, who will be played by Rhys Ifans. These are the only characters HBO has cast so far for the side of the Greens. Obviously, there is a lot of other characters fighting for this side, but I will discuss them further as each one is officially announced by HBO, or another reputable source. Now, on the side for the Blacks, HBO has cast several characters. Leading this faction is of course Rhaenyra Targaryen, who will be played by Emma D'Arcy. Right by her side will be her lover and father's brother Daemon Targaryen, who will be played by Matt Smith. Also fighting on their side is Lord Corlys Valeron, aka the Sea Snake. And we have his wife, Rhaenys Valeron. Now these are some great characters to have fighting by your side. The Sea Snake, or Lord Corlys Valeron, is the most famous nautical adventurer in the history of Westeros. He built his house into a major seat that is even richer than the Lannisters, and that claims the largest navy in the world. Like I said in a recent video, having this man on your side is like having the Lannisters and the Greyjoys combined. He has the money and the ships. Now, his wife, Rhaenys Valeron, is a dragon rider, and she does fight in one of the most epic battles during the Dance of Dragons. That was when her and her dragon fight the new King Aegon and his dragon, as well as his brother, Aemon One-Eye, and his massive dragon Vhagar. This gives Rhaenyra even more dragons than she already had before. If you remember, Rhaenyra has a dragon, her sons have dragons, and she has many dragons sitting at Dragonstone just waiting for new riders. And now she has Rhaenys' dragon on her side, as well as all of her husband's ships. Not to mention, Rhaenyra also has Daemon on her side, an extremely skilled warrior who has a Valyrian steel sword and a very large dragon of his own. Rhaenyra Targaryen's side is loaded. Now you could list a lot of reasons for why Corlys Valeron and his wife Rhaenys Valeron are fighting for Rhaenyra's side. But I think one good reason is because they are the grandparents to Rhaenyra's children. Rhaenys and her husband had one child together, who was Laenor Valeron, the alleged father of Rhaenyra's kids. Now, most would say Rhaenyra's sons were fathered by another man, but we won't go down that road just yet. Anyways, Corlys Valeron will be played by actor Steve Toussaint, and his wife Rhaenys Valeron will be played by actress Eve Best. There is one more character I must mention, who is technically on the side of the Blacks. That character is Mysaria, also known as Lady Misery. She is another one of Daemon Targaryen's lovers, but she also becomes the unofficial mistress of Whisperers to Rhaenyra Targaryen, although she wasn't actually on her small council. What's interesting is, Daemon actually gets Mysaria pregnant, and he gives her a dragon egg for the child, but once again, I don't know how much of this they will cover in House of the Dragon. All we do know is HBO has found an actress for this character, so we will definitely see her in the show to some extent. And just in case you don't know, actress Sonoya Mizuno will be our Lady Misery, Mysaria. Now this is obviously a very rough outline of who these characters are, but now you should have a better idea about some of the things you can expect to see from them. Hopefully this also helps you visualize some of these actors in their roles. If you're new around here, or just not familiar with the Dance of Dragons, then consider checking out my other video linked down below. In that other video, I explained almost all of the major events that should happen in House of the Dragon. I should warn you though, that video might spoil a lot of the series for you. If you're still a little lost on any of this, let me know down below, or just leave me some of your thoughts about the series as a whole. I'm always interested in seeing what everyone has to say. I enjoy and welcome the feedback. As always, thanks for watching my video. I hope you all have a great day. I will see you again very soon. Bye.